So, hi everyone. I hope the sessions are helping you for your preparations. So, today our topic will be planning the audit. We will go through how we plan the audit. Planning the audit is the initial phase of the audit, the preliminary phase of the audit. So, we will understand what does it mean, how the audit plan works, what is its relevance, and everything throughout the series. So, stay connected and let me know in the comments if you have any concerns. So, what is the planning the audit? What it involves? The planning the audit involves establishing overall audit strategy for the engagement and developing audit plan. So, it is the initial phase of the audit, and at this phase, we discuss and we develop the strategy that how the audit will be conducted, what are the timelines we should consider, how many audit team members is required, who will be allocated what areas of audit, like everything is discussed and planned in detail during the planning the audit. So if we divide it into two parts, planning the audit involves two parts, two crucial parts, and one is the developing overall audit strategy, and another is preparing audit plan, which includes the nature, timing, extent of audit procedures. So, why do we do the planning? What are the benefits of planning the audit? So, there are certain stated facts and proven facts of audit the planning, and few of them are: it helps the auditor to identify and devote appropriate attention to the important areas of the audit, helps the auditor to identify and resolve potential problems. Please mind the word which I am spelling in the bold characteristics. So, identify and resolve potential problems on timely basis, helps the auditor properly organize and manage the audit engagement so that it is performed in an effective and efficient manner, assist in selection of engagement team members with appropriate levels of capabilities and competence to respond to anticipated risk and allocating team member responsibilities, facilitate direction and supervision of engagement team and review their work, assist as applicable in coordinating work done by auditors of component and specialists. I hope this is useful. As I told you that audit planning helps to identify the crucial areas, helps to identify the nature, timing and extent, helps to identify how many team members and what their competence will be, the areas that will be allocated, the experience level, basis on their experience level. So all these help us to smoothen our audit process. So audit planning is very important part of our audit, like it is initial phase and we will be considering like it is just a normal thing, but it actually is like unspoken hero. It has really importance in our audit to make the audit smooth working place. So what are the nature and extent of planning activity? So nature and extent varies according to the size and complexity of the engagement, key engagement team members, previous experiences with the entity, and changes in the circumstances. So as I said, the size of the business that we are auditing, the experience of the team members, the background of theirs, and the circumstances and external factors that might impact the nature and extent of our audit. As I already said, that planning is continual and iterative process and not a discrete phase. So planning is done at the initial phase, but it is not just like once we have done it and we don't go backwards. It is the continuing process. Like throughout the audit, we have to keep a check on the planning audit, like the risk has been increased or it's same, any significant areas that we have identified, any new areas that we have identified, any potential risk that we have identified. So all these are factors which may change our audit plan, which may have changes in our audit procedures. So audit plan is something that has to be reviewed time to time throughout the audit, and it is not a discrete thing that once it is done at the planning and it's closed. It's not like that. We have to keep a open eye on that, because it is impacted by all the factors that we audit. It is impacted by all the external factors and the things that we have identified during the audit. So it is an iterative process. Um After that, what are the key planning activities? So as I say, as I said that there are two important criteria, important phases in the planning the audit. One is the developing overall audit strategy plan, and another is nature, timing, and extent. So overall audit strategy establishes that sets the scope of timing, extent, and direction of the audit and guides the development of audit plan. Whereas another part includes the developing the audit plan that includes a description of the audit procedures to be performed by auditor. Also, here discussion with the management is important because the auditor may decide to discuss the elements of the planning with the entity's management to facilitate the conduct and management of the audit engagement, because it is the responsibility of the management to provide us the documents, to provide us the financials and everything. So communication with the management is important, that what we have planned, what are our timing, what will be our extent, what will be our coverage. So it is important to discuss with the management about our plan. Note that overall audit strategy and audit plan remains the auditor's responsibility. So audit plan, preparing the audit plan, discussing the audit plan is the auditor's responsibility, not the management's responsibility. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statement and providing us the relevant document, but developing the audit plan is the auditor's responsibility, and discussion that with the management is also auditor's responsibility. When discussing matters include overall audit strategy or audit plan with the management, care is required in order to not to compromise the effectiveness of the audit. So auditors should never compromise their effectiveness of the audit, and it is the responsibility of the auditor to be careful while determining the timing and extent, because effectiveness should never be compromised in audit. Involvement of key engagement team members, which involves engagement partners and other key members. So firstly, engagement partner is one of the key audit members who is responsible for finalizing the audit and signing the accounts. So other than that, the senior team members, the senior managers, and other team members are also equally important in the audit. Like, it draws on their experience and insights, thereby enhancing their effectiveness and efficiency of planning processes. The engagement partner may delegate portions of planning and supervision of audit to the firm personnel. Require discussion among the team member about the susceptibility of entities' financial statement to material misstatement, which include fraud and error. Objective is for members of the audit team to gain a better understanding of potential for material misstatement of financial statement resulting from fraud and error in the specific areas assigned to them, and to understand how the results of the audit procedures that they perform may affect other aspects of the audit. uh, Determining the extent involves the two things, involvement of internal auditors and involvement of specialists. So if there are special areas that auditor is not experienced into, for example involvement of actuaries or involvement of tax specialists, so these are the specialized personnel who have competent and expertise in their area. So they are the specialists. And if we are involving internal auditors or specialists in our audit, the nature and extent of the extent and timing of audit is increased or decreased based on their availability, based on the time taken by them to compute the results of their areas. So like when entity has an internal audit function, and if whether the work of internal audit function can be used in obtaining audit evidence, or whether internal auditors can be used to provide direct assistance. Similarly, for specialists, if specialized skills are needed on the audit, the auditors who seek the assistance of special audit, who either may be on the auditor's staff or an outside professional. As I said, valuation experts, appraisers, actuaries, tax specialists, IT professionals, these all are specialists. uh, Now it's important thing is the planning the documentation. I have been saying you throughout the series of audit that planning is the crucial part. Like, whatever we do, documenting is the crucial part. Whatever we communicate, whatever we do, whatever is the misstatement, whatever is the issues, anything like positive, negative, anything, everything should be documented. Documentation is much important in audit, as it acts as the evidence, as it acts as the time taken by us to process the audit. So documentation is important throughout the entire phase of the audit. So what should be documented? Overall audit strategy, our audit plan, and any significant changes made during the audit engagement to overall audit strategy or the audit plan and the reason for the changes. So all these points should be properly documented. Now, what is how we develop the audit strategy? The auditor should establish an overall audit strategy that sets scope, timing, and direction of the audit, and that guides the development of audit plan. In establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor should identify the characteristics of the engagement that define the scope, ascertain the reporting objective of the engagement in order to plan the timing of the audit and the nature of the communication is required. Consider the factors that in the auditor's professional judgment are the significant in directing the engagement team efforts. Consider the results of the preliminary engagement activities and when applicable, whether the knowledge gained or on a other engagement performed by the engagement partner for their entity is relevant. Also ascertain the nature, timing and extent of the resources necessary for engagement partner. The process of establishing overall audit strategy assists the auditor in determining the subjects like resource to deploy the specific audit areas such as use of appropriately experienced team members, amount of resources to allocate the specific audit areas, when these resources are to be deployed, such as whether the interim audit stage or key cut-off dates, how should resources are managed, direct and supervised, such as when team briefing and debriefing meetings are expected to be held. So, proper allocation of resources is extremely important in audit. Depending on their experience, depending on their expertise and knowledge, proper allocation is required. So, as I said, written plan is mandatory. It is mandatory to write the audit plan based on overall audit strategy. Once the overall audit strategy has been developed, established, an audit plan can be developed to address the various matters identified in the audit plan. Audit strategy taking into account that achieve audit objectives through the efficient use of the auditor's resources. Describing the nature, extent, and timing of the planned procedures. So, if we are performing any specified audit procedure that defines the nature, on the specified audit sample that is extent, as of specified time that defines the timing. So nature and extent are the part of risk assessment process. So we will in our further chapters we will understand that what is risk assessment and how it works. So nature and extent are the part of our risk assessment procedures where we identify and assess the risk. Nature, extent, and timing are of planned further audit procedures. Like for risk assessment, nature and extent is important, but further audit procedures include nature, timing, and extent at the relevant assertion level. So when we, what does that mean? So it includes test of control and substantive details. Test of controls, we identify and evaluate operating effectiveness of internal control. This we will be studying further in detail in coming chapters, but here it's just a brief. Like in the test of controls, we evaluate the operating effectiveness of internal control, and in substantive test, we detect the material misstatement at assertion level, which includes test of details and analytical procedures. Also, we should keep in the mind that consideration of materiality in the planning audit. When establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor should determine the materiality for the financial statement as a whole. Determining the materiality involves the exercise of the professional judgment, often as a percentage is applied to choose the benchmark, like revenue, gross profit, profit before tax, equity, all these are considered. Materiality determination judgment provides the basis for determining the nature and extent of risk assessment procedures, identifying and assessing RMM, determining the nature, extent, and timing of further audit procedures. As audit progresses, auditor may become aware of information resulting in the revision of the materiality. As our audit progresses, materiality can be changed, so we should keep an eye on the important areas which might impact on the materiality and it might change in our further audit. So I hope that you understood the planning the audit, how it is done, why it is important, why documenting is important, and how we should keep an eye on planning the audit throughout the audit phase. Like not only the during the planning, but it can be devised depending on the circumstances, depending on the factors that we have audited. So it is an iterative process. I hope you understood this, and if you have any queries, please do let me know in the comments. Bye.